Imagine this. It's a frigid December night in 1996. Flames erupt from a luxurious mansion in Atlanta's elite Buckhead neighborhood, lighting up the sky like a bonfire from hell. Firefighters battle the inferno, but inside they discover something far more sinister than an accident: a charred body executed with a single gunshot to the head. The victim? A charismatic millionaire entrepreneur on the cusp of new love. But on the same night, just miles away, another man claims he's been attacked twice by a masked intruder who sets his own home ablaze. Coincidence or a killer's desperate alibi? This is the story of David Coffin's brutal murder, a case riddled with jealousy, lost evidence, and a conviction that's divided true crime enthusiasts for decades. Was Scott Davis an obsessed ex-husband driven to kill, or the victim of a monumental miscarriage of justice? Stick around, because by the end, you might question everything you think you know about guilt and innocence. If you're hooked already, smash that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into crime stories. Let's unravel this enigma. David Coffin Jr. wasn't just any victim. He was the embodiment of the American dream, wrapped in old money privilege and new age ambition. Born in 1955 into one of New England's most prominent families, the Coffins traced their lineage back to Nantucket whaling fortunes and industrial giants like the Dexter Corporation, an aerospace and automotive powerhouse that amassed a $23 million empire. David, the heir apparent, shunned the stuffy boardrooms of his upbringing for a life of adventure in Atlanta. At 41, he was described by friends as Robert Redford-esque, tall, athletic, with an infectious laugh and a passion for the outdoors. He skied black diamond slopes, hiked with his loyal golden retriever named Max, and dove into tech startups with the zeal of a Silicon Valley pioneer. But David's life wasn't all adrenaline and affluence. He was a bachelor searching for connection, and in mid-1996, he found it in Megan Lee, a vibrant woman in her mid-20s navigating a messy divorce. Their romance was electric. 6 months in, friends noted David was smitten, talking marriage despite the complications. Megan, however, was still legally tied to her husband, Scott Davis, a tech consultant from a well-connected Atlanta family. This love triangle would ignite a firestorm, literally. Fast forward to December 6th to 8th, 1996, the fateful weekend that set everything in motion. David spent Friday and Saturday at Megan's apartment, their relationship deepening. But shadows loomed. Scott Davis, unwilling to let go, bombarded Megan with calls. Phone records later revealed up to 30 calls in a single night, a barrage of desperation laced with obsession. Scott's letters to Megan, entered as evidence years later, turned ominous. Warnings about crossing lines like intimacy with others, especially someone like David. He wrote, "Multiple dates with one person leads to expectations which do not bode well with me. This is especially true with a person such as Dave. If things with other men are getting sexual for you, I will never be able to forgive that, considering we are married." Sunday morning, December 8th, David returns home to chaos. His house at 951 West Conway Drive has been ransacked, TV overturned, drawers emptied, office in disarray. Strangely, high-value items like jewelry and electronics remain untouched. Missing? Personal treasures, watches, handguns, and his beloved vintage Porsche 911, a rare collector's car symbolizing his independence. David and his best friend, Craig Foster, immediately suspected Scott. The only thing we could come up with was that Scott Davis had come over upset the night before because he knew that David was with Megan and had ransacked the house. Foster later testified. Craig advised David to back off until the divorce finalized, but love was blinding. David was falling hard. Monday, December 9th, tension simmers. David confides in his father, David Coffin Sr., about the burglary and his new romance. The senior Coffin, a cautious patriarch, warns his son, "Be very careful." That night, investigators believe Scott returned, this time with deadly intent. No witnesses, but the timeline fits. An argument escalates, a stolen gun from the burglary is used, and David is shot execution style in the kitchen. Tuesday, December 10th, the climax. Around 10 p.m., neighbors spot flames shooting 20 to 30 feet from David's roof. Firefighters arrive, extinguish the blaze, and on a second sweep, discover the body, not crawling for escape like most fire victims, on his back, suggesting he was already dead. Autopsy reveals single .38 caliber gunshot to the head, pre-fire. Toxicology adds intrigue, metabolites of cocaine, and a .22 BAC, blood alcohol content, hinting at possible vulnerabilities, though never pursued as a lead. But the night's not over. Hours earlier, Scott Davis calls police with his own horror story, attacked twice at his Oak Ridge home. First assault, masked intruder in ski mask maces him, gun to head, warns stay away from Megan. Second, intruder shoots at him, Scott fires 5 shotgun rounds back, assailant flees over fence after setting a small patio fire. On concrete, barely spreads. Neighbors hear only 5 shots, not 6. No handgun casings found. Detective Rick Chambers thinks, why let Scott live if you're bold enough to kill and burn Coffin? Megan arrives at David's fire scene, hysterical. Scott calls her. "Oh my God, I was attacked again tonight. Police are here." But in interviews, Scott slips, mentions Coffin was shot in the head before autopsy results are public. He claims Megan told him. Megan denies, backed by friends. 100% certain it was Scott who told me, Megan testified. Scott Davis seemed an unlikely killer, son of Dr. Dave Davis, a prominent forensic psychiatrist who profiled criminals and testified for the prosecution. Scott grew up privileged. At 24, he met 19-year-old Megan Lee. Their 5-year courtship was turbulent. Breakups initiated by her, reconciliations begged by him with promises of change. They married in 1993, a perfect American wedding featured in European magazines. But bliss faded fast. Megan said he lost interest overnight, liked the chase more than the prize. Filed for divorce in 1995, Scott pleaded in letters, "You're the most wonderful and gorgeous woman on this earth." When Megan dated Coffin, Scott's fixation peaked. "I know David's there," he'd say on calls. Persistence turned obsession, traits his father admitted teaching him. Detectives saw a classic motive. Scott had everything he wanted all his life. The one thing he lost, couldn't stand it. December 13, 1996, Scott arrested for murder, arson, burglary, theft, bonded out at $500,000 after 90 days. But issues: stolen Porsche found burning miles away during Scott's work meeting. Impossible for him to set both fires alone. Accomplice is possible, prosecutors speculated. No stolen items at Scott's home or car. Gun near the body, too burned for prints. June 1998, charges dropped, insufficient evidence. Megan fled to Australia, remarried, now Bruton, had kids, but haunted. Not a day without thinking of December 96. Scott moved to Palo Alto, thriving as a consultant. In hog heaven, friends said. 2003, runs for California governor in recall election. 135 candidates, including Schwarzenegger. Past exposed. Blames Megan. "This wouldn't have happened if it weren't for my ex-wife." Campaign flops, but reignites Atlanta scrutiny. David Coffin Sr., relentless. Rewards from $100,000 to $300,000. 2004, cold case unit, led by Sheila Ross, says disgusted he got away. No new evidence, but a grand jury indicted November 2005. Scott, rearrested in Palo Alto, extradited, $1 million bond. 2006 trial, Fulton County, 6 weeks, 60 witnesses. Prosecutor Ross, he hunted his competition, hunted, stalked, killed. Megan's 3-day testimony, failed marriage, voicemails, "You're killing me," fixation, "I know David's there." Key, Scott's incriminating call, "Guy shot in the head, house burned." Defense, no DNA, blood, or fibers. 40-plus items lost, could have been exonerated. Dr. Davis's alibi, Scott, for burglary might, "At my house, 6:30 p.m. watching news." Prosecutors, first time saying this, liar. Scott enlists a friend for false alibi, backfires. No Scott testimony. December 4, 2006, guilty of malice murder, felonies merged, life sentence. Scott, "I maintain my innocence." Coffin's family, bittersweet. Davis's, devastated. Appeals. 2009, Georgia Supreme Court upholds. Justice Hunstein, sufficient evidence, motive, slips, timeline. Viewed in the light most favorable to the verdict, the evidence showed that Davis and his wife Megan were separated and in the process of divorcing when Megan began dating the victim, David Coffin. Davis was distraught and angry about the divorce and about Megan's relationship with Coffin. Davis repeatedly called Megan's apartment the weekend before the murder while Coffin was staying there, and Megan testified that Davis sounded very upset. Coffin's home was burglarized during that weekend, and several items were stolen, including Coffin's Porsche automobile and a .38 caliber handgun. Coffin suspected Davis of committing the burglary. Coffin was shot in the head with a .38 caliber handgun, and his home was set on fire on the night of December 10, 1996. The Porsche was discovered burning in a wooded area the next morning. Also on the night of the murder, Davis reported that he had been assaulted twice at his home. During the second assault, Davis claimed that the assailant shot at him, and Davis returned fire with a shotgun. However, Davis's story contained inconsistencies, and police found no evidence to corroborate his claims. In a police interview 2 days after the murder, Davis mentioned that Coffin had been shot before police knew or publicly released the cause of death. Davis claimed that Megan told him about the shooting, but Megan denied telling Davis and testified that Davis was the first to tell her. Davis also attempted to enlist a friend to provide a false alibi for the night of the murder. We conclude that the evidence was sufficient to authorize a rational trier of fact to find beyond a reasonable doubt that Davis was guilty of the crimes of which he was convicted. After his conviction, Scott Davis asked his girlfriend to read a letter he had written to 48 Hours. "I can't explain in words the horrible feeling of being sentenced to life in prison for a crime you didn't commit," Christine reads. "I will fight with all my strength and courage to regain my deserved freedom. Until then, I will not rest." Christine says she will stand by Davis and is not planning to leave him. But she may be waiting a long time. David's father is determined to keep Scott Davis right where he is. As far as I know, this is the last picture that was ever taken of David. That was 2 weeks before he passed away, Coffin Sr. says, as he is showing pictures to 48 Hours. It was on that fateful weekend that his son told him about the new woman in his life, Megan Lee. He said to his father about you, "This might be the real deal. How do you feel about that?" Mar asks Megan. "When he died, we never had a first fight. We never had a disagreement. So he died a perfect man." Scott Davis will be eligible for parole in 2020. He'll be 55. His attorneys are planning an appeal.